Hello, Halloween is around the corner, so this video I'm going to be making clay ghost. So I have air dry clay by Crayola, that's non-toxic. And I've made a mold out of foil. I've already got one in the back that I have started that you can see. And I've rolled a ball of dough. I'm also flattening the bottom of the foil molds so they will stand up. So I'm going to begin by rolling out my clay. And I'm going to roll it out about 1/4 of an inch. And then I'll begin to tear off pieces and start sticking them to my mold. And it's going to stick really good to the foil. So I have parchment paper below me, so this will prevent the clay from sticking to the counter. You also want to make sure that you take any little holes you have too, and you patch them up with dough. So now I'm trimming off some of the edges that are a little long, and I'm gonna shape them and form them into the shape that I want, and it also helps make the edges a little bit more clean and straight and smooth. So I chose to leave the bottom part of the ghost with no clay on it. So now I'm going to get it wet and just smooth out the lines and make it nice and smooth. And try not to get water on the bottom side of the ghost while you're doing this. Let me show you how I molded the foil. It's really simple. Just keep adding foil and shaping till you get the size and the shape you want. And mine are going in a lantern, so I'm making 3 sizes so that they stand out. The one I'm doing right now is actually a smaller one than the other 2. And then I'm smacking it on the counter to flatten out the bottom so it stands. And I'll be adding the clay and smoothing it out with water And this is going to take about 2 days to dry. It's a thin layer of clay, so I think the more clay you lay on top of it, the longer it's going to take. But it was about 2 days to dry. Alright, so I've let it dry, and it's been drying for about 2 days, and I've got some cracking, as you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and fill the cracks with a little coating of all-purpose joint compound, which I will show you here. And yes, it's backwards in the camera. I was looking to see at this point if this was toxic, because I know the other clay is non-toxic, and I never did find it, whether it was or not. And I'm just going to use my hands to do this. So again, I'm just going to put a light layer in the cracks and smooth it over. And then we're going to let this dry for another 2 hours. And I realize this is a lot of making and drying over and over again. So you just, every time you got to let stuff dry, just sit it there and go do something else and come back to it. And it really is a simple project. It's mostly the drying and the patience of waiting for that. Alright, so my ghosts have dried now, and now it's time to paint them. And I've got a white matte acrylic paint. So I'm going to start by painting them from the bottom side up and getting around the rim of the underside of the bottom, not in the center where the foil is. I thought about using the little dabber sponge, but I decided to just go ahead and use the bigger paintbrush. And the one thing about this paint, this white matte acrylic paint, and I think I'm using Apple Barrel. It has a tendency to, the longer it's sitting there while you're painting, it starts to get a film on top really fast. So if it gets too gooey, you're going to want to change the paint. Otherwise, you're going to end up with little balls and of paint getting on your ghost and having to try to get them off and re-going over it, which I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it happened to me a couple times. The other thing what you don't see on camera is after I painted these and they dried, they were not going to fit into my lantern, which I'm going to be putting them into. So I did use a sander and I sanded off a lot of edges on my ghost to try to make them smaller to fit all together in the lantern that I'll be using. Yeah, so. And then I re-went over it with paint after that on the spots that I sanded. And of course I had to dry that again, but that part's not on camera. So I'm done painting them, and I'm going to set them upside down in a egg carton that I've ripped in half to dry. And again, we're probably going to let this dry for about 2 hours. It's possible that they could dry a little bit sooner than that. So that side's dry, and I'm now going to paint the other half of it. And again, set it back in the egg carton and let it dry again. Okay, so they've dried, and the next step is that I drew some faces on with some pencil. And I'm going to take some black gloss acrylic paint, and I'm going to go over the faces with that. And a paper towel comes in really handy here, just in case you get it on your hands. You don't want to turn around and touch the white ghost with it. And then we'll let that dry. And I have a skinnier paintbrush for the eyes and face, of course. And I didn't draw any eyebrows on with pencil, but I decided to go ahead and add some eyebrows. And we're going to let this dry for 2 hours. So next we're going to go ahead and we're going to coat this with a layer of Mod Podge. And I'll show you on camera the type of Mod Podge I got. And this is the gloss one. Yes, it's backwards in the camera. So taking a paintbrush, I am going to paint from the bottom rim of the ghost and then halfway up so I can sit it in the egg carton to dry the rest of the way. And I'm only going to do one coat of this for the whole entire thing. And this takes only about 30 minutes to dry. It doesn't take very long. As you can see on that ghost, I have a little bit of clay because originally I did start to put clay on the bottom of the ghost. That was the first one you saw at the beginning. But I peeled a lot of it off. I decided that it wasn't necessary and it was just more drying time. Now this is going to put a gloss on it, and it's going to be a see-through. It's going to go on not clear, but it's going to dry clear. And this is not waterproof. And here's the finished ghost. You can see they've got a glossy shine to them. And I'm putting mine again in the lantern that you see behind, but you can of course put yours out any way you'd like. And so that's all I have for right now. Thank you for watching, and please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Bye.